Hey folks, welcome back to WCBS, the epitome of pop culture. I cover all sorts of entertainment-related topics on this channel, and today we're going to be covering something we usually don't get to talk about. Today we're diving into the highly controversial game Starfield. Yeah, it's time. There's something quite astir among players. The pronoun choices. It's 2023, so of course this is at the forefront of the game. For the few who don't know, Starfield, developed by Bethesda, is an open-world RPG set in space. Exciting, right? It looks like Fallout 2099. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, just as long as it's not Fallout 76. What's really got people talking are the pronoun options during the game character creation. Instead of traditional he or she, the game offers a range of gender-neutral pronouns, such as they and them. Now, this may not seem like a big deal to some, but it has sparked intense debate within the gaming community, and the internet as a whole. Critics argue that it's an unnecessary push for political correctness. They say it takes them out of the immersion that video games are supposed to create, while others praise the inclusion of diverse pronouns as a step towards inclusivity. But then there's the third option, the people who are pretty tired of the whole damn thing and they don't give a fuck. They just want a game that will actually work, which the developer, Bethesda, doesn't always deliver on. And I'm looking at you, Fallout 76. Bethesda has stated that the pronoun choices were made to reflect the game's futuristic settings and allow players to create characters that resonate with their own identities. They believe that giving players the freedom to express themselves through pronouns is a vital part of player agency. But why does this seemingly small aspect of the game matter so much? Well, we're going to cover that in today's video and a whole lot more. But before we dive headfirst into that cesspool, hit the thumbs up button and press the subscribe so you don't miss out on this world-class content every time we upload a new video. Starfield has a lot of disgruntled gamers considering returning their copies of Starfield. Being a disgruntled fan is sort of common these days, as companies keep destroying the things that you love. But what if a group of disgruntled fans fought back? What change could happen? Well, I have the answer for that right here. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to stealingsolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to stealingsolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. Video games have the unique ability to create immersive experiences, allowing players to step into different worlds. For decades, gamers have been whisked away to magical kingdoms, alternate realities, outer space, time travel, and a lot more. The video game lets players control the uncontrollable. It allows us to live out our wildest fantasies, step into the shoes of our favorite fictional heroes, and do things most people can't do. It can be as simple as run your own theme park, change the outcome of your favorite sports rivalry, be the hero of time, or save the world in the greatest game ever, GoldenEye 007. The thing that makes entertainment great is the ability to bring people together. Gaming has the ability to do that too, all while being a different experience for each gamer. Maybe you collect every puzzle piece in Banjo-Kazooie. Maybe you avoid all the guards in Metal Gear Solid or kill them. Maybe your Link wears no pants, or maybe you run around in the Ocarina of Time costume. No matter the slight permutations, all players share the same identity, hero of their story. It fulfills everyone's desire to save the day, or in simpler terms, it allows us to be in control of our own story, which is something most people aren't in control of in the real world. Starfield may validate the identities of the players who may not fit into the traditional roles, but it also ostracizes those who do, and their feelings are just as important as the underrepresented. It's important to remember that not everyone embraces these changes. Some players feel that it goes against their personal beliefs, or that it disrupts their immersion in the game, and that's okay. It's essential to respect diverse perspectives and discussions surrounding the issues, including the ones that don't buy into the politics of identity. Starfield is just the latest entry into this chapter of the culture war. Allow WCBS to be your window into this battle as we take you on a journey through the Starfield Pronoun Massacre. Starfield's early access launch a couple of days ago has already seen a number of controversies, with the latest prompting players to mass refund the game, all because it allows them to choose their preferred pronouns during character selection. A clip of a YouTuber ranting about a customization option has gone viral, with Dr. Disrespect also revealing that he was rejected by Bethesda for his past comments. The rants have been met with a lot of backlash, and some have pointed out that giving players more options in an RPG in terms of customization is a good thing. That said, many players seem to be refunding Starfield because it allows pronoun choices. On Twitter, accounts have been calling out Bethesda for including it in the game. Meanwhile, people on the other side are making fun of those demanding refunds and boycotts. YouTuber Heel vs. Babyface had quite a meltdown about Starfield going woke, while talking about gender pronouns on a stream, and the clip has since gone viral on social media, garnering a lot of attention. For context, a couple of users on X noted how the options to choose pronouns of the character creator did not sit right with certain gamers, who are now demanding refunds and talking about boycotting the game. In the clip, Heel vs. Babyface got increasingly agitated as he listed off his issues with Bethesda, saying,
Bethesda, there is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself, think, oh my god, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us.
The YouTuber describes the inclusion of gender pronouns as boring and dull, and also accused the game developers of robbing him and others like him of the things they like.
Fuck your immersion, fuck you having a good time, fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, 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 current fucking day.
He continued further to say,
You're boring, you're fucking dull, you have nothing to say. You are a one-hived mind twat waffle.
Dr. Disrespect also announced in a post that he was passed up for promotion phase of the game because of his controversial comments in the past. While Starfield has seen its fair share of praise, many streamers have expressed skepticism about the release, with popular Twitch creator Zach Armsgold saying even the game's first impressions weren't good. The story continues as Heel vs. Babyface has been called out by Hassan Piker, who wants to brutally attack him, according to some reports. The outrage against Starfield is not a surprise. Video games reach most people on the planet, and not everyone is on the same page ideologically. Hell, most people can't agree about anything, let alone a divisive topic like identity politics. Identity politics are detrimental to entertainment. Entertainment exists to bring people together, not to tear them apart. That being said, not all entertainment is for everyone, but massively expensive endeavors like blockbuster movies or AAA video games are. They're meant to reach the masses. They do not have the luxury of a niche audience to support them. They exist to give the biggest and best experience possible to an audience. But they're not about the divisive politics of the developers. This schism is one of the biggest problems in entertainment: creators versus fans. We're living in an age where some creators want to infuse their views over telling a good universal story, delivering a good universal experience, or simply delivering a good product. A video game is all three. Turning off a majority of your audience is a death sentence. Comic books have been doing this for years. The quality of your average Marvel vs. DC comic has dropped, and the readership has dropped with it. The stories are lacking. What little story is left angers fans because it goes against what the comics have traditionally been about, or they go against the reader's personal views. It's exacerbated by the creators of said bad comics taking to social media to lambast readers and spread their own personal gospel. What they fail to realize is no one cares. People don't care about personal politics of the writer or the horrors of fridging a character. Readers just want another exciting chapter in the never-ending saga of their favorite thing. They haven't been getting that, and fans have gone to independent creators like me with Stealing Solo, link in the description below, to get good comics. While that works well with comics because it's a cheap medium to produce, games and movies are a much harder nut to crack. Films have astronomical budgets. Those budgets are needed to make the kind of films people want. Big, flashy effects, fun characters, and memorable stories. Sadly, those stories get ruined by the wet blanket known as identity politics. Be it a pansexual Lando Calrissian, gender-swapped Ghostbusters, palette-swapped heroes, Hollywood can't help themselves. It's like buying a beautiful sports car, then keying it and expecting the driver not to care. That's not how this works. Audiences do in fact take ownership over the properties they choose to support. It may not hold up in a court of law, but they are the guardians of a medium, a show, a game, whatever it may be. The fans are the ones that keep the things alive and well. To put it in simpler terms, the customer is the reason the developers get to make these games and participate in a career they're passionate about. The passion of these players is what keeps gaming alive. Not the marketing, not the brand, not the games, the gamers. And it seems like a lot of people who make games are not fans of the people who play their games. That's not actually the case. Like with movies, there's a group who makes these decisions. Some call them woke decisions, I call them bullshit. I lived in California for a few years. When I was living out there, I befriended a lot of people that make movies. Not actors, but writers, producers, studio execs, stuff like that. From my time talking to them and asking about the wokeness, I found that it's the marketing department that are the ones who make all these terrible decisions. They look at the data and want to push what some would call a woke ideology because they're trying to sell to the younger audience. That demographic values identity, and a lot of other issues that are antithetical to what most consumers value. These execs think their products will make more money this way. They don't care about the older consumer because they're convinced people are going to buy no matter what. It's sort of like the Bud Light debacle. Trying to sell that beer to people who don't drink that beer, well, that just killed Bud Light for everybody. And look where they are now. Is the same thing going to happen to Starfield? No, not even remotely close. But it's still the same problem that's spreading everywhere around the world right now. These people also live in one homogenous area. That's where the hive mind mentality comes from. They assume that's how the world works because their worldview is narrower than Hank Hill's urethra. The average age of the gamer is 35 years old. Identity politics are a Gen Z issue. That's the core of the disconnect. It's the same with comics. The average age of the reader is over 30. The same group that doesn't want these politics in their comics are the same that don't want it in their games. That's the core of the issue, creating shit that the audience doesn't want. That's where the outrage comes from, and that's why it's valid. Remember this. For everyone preaching the virtues of modern inclusion, the person who says its divisive nature is damaging must be listened to as well. Gaming journalism has created a vacuum that modern games are created in. Most games are created for the reviewer, not the audience. Your average game journalist falls on the left side of the spectrum, is fairly young since it isn't a high-paying job, and is a heavy social media user. Their values line up with what Starfield's pronouns issues represent. Gaming may look like a safe haven for certain ideologies, but the gaming landscape is diverse, and everyone's views need to be accounted for. There's a little more to how Starfield works, and let's address that before we go on. This comes from an article that states that the Starfield pronoun choice is just that, a choice. With the amount of conversations happening online and pronouns in Starfield, you may think that the game forces you to choose, but it really doesn't. Based on your character creation, your body type, and attributes, the game does its best to guess which pronouns you want to identify with and automatically assigns them. You only have to change them and pick your own pronouns if you're unhappy with the ones the game selects. Similarly, there's not really any mention of them in the game, other than how the characters address you when speaking. It means that outside of acknowledging that gender exists, Starfield isn't really pushing players to identify as anything other than themselves. So this is all a bunch of nothing. If you're going to put this in your game, why just back out? It's all irrelevant. I mean, what the hell? All this outrage for nothing. That seems to be the case with a lot of this shit. Now folks, let's do something a little different. Now it's time for the part of the video where I give my personal view in a less structured way, sort of like Jerry Springer's final thoughts. I think it would be better to leave these things out of gaming. According to the article, it doesn't even have a big impact on how Starfield is played, so why piss off a lot of people who do genuinely care about these things? It's not up for the creators to decide the personal politics of the gamer. Making it accessible to a wider audience instead of catering to a niche audience will always garner less controversy. Mario doesn't have that problem, and Mario is the biggest icon in gaming. Mario has very little in the way of character identity. The player grafts it onto Mario. Link, the hero of time from The Legend of Zelda, has even less personality. Link doesn't even speak. The audience can see themselves as Link, no matter the skin color, and imagine themselves as him, the hero of the story. It's working wonders for Nintendo and has for the last almost 40 years, and the most recent Legend of Zelda game sold 18.5 million copies in the last 4 months. If developers would create a compelling character, audiences could impart themselves onto them and create a truly immersive experience. Will we be playing Starfield on WCBS Gaming? Well, I have Game Pass, so possibly, but just go ahead and follow us on Twitch at WCBS Gaming just to be safe. You don't want to miss out on whatever we're going to be playing next. With that being said, that's the whole Starfield issue so far. I wanted to give this the world-class treatment because that's what you deserve, folks. So if you enjoy world-class content, click subscribe, lay the smack down on the thumbs up button, and if you want something nice for yourself, head on over to stealingsolo.com. We're talking about disgruntled fans right now. Well, sometimes disgruntled fans take it to the next level, and Stealing Solo is the story of a disgruntled fan group and the greatest what-if question of all time. What if they kidnapped Harrison Ford and forced him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That and a whole lot more is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. We're building a better Bullshitters, and we're on our way to 200K. We're getting really, really close. And when we do, I'm going to do a live stream where I thank each and every one of you. It's going to be a lot, but you guys deserve it. So folks, that's coming real soon. We're almost there. But until then, folks, do a few things. Be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other. Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.